Lance Stevenson playing with a guy who missed the NBA. Something quite refreshing and enjoyable and impressive about kind of that aspect of this is watching these guys who are cherishing their NBA minutes and watching Lance Stevenson, who clearly loves being back here, Tim.
There's no doubt about it. I'm just watching him walk off the floor. I would imagine there's lots of things that you look at differently, and very rarely do you get a second chance to kind of approach something like that. And man, he made the most of it. I would say there's a lot of teams saying we could use that.
So the Jazz, Mike Conley just did a jersey exchange with someone, but I'm not sure
Washington.
Who it was. Oh, both Ohio State kids.
There you go.
Thank you, Jake.
You're welcome.
So Danny Ainge, Justin Zanuck, and Ryan Smith were in the house tonight watching this one together, seated with Ryan Smith in between Justin Zanuck and Danny Ainge. Not that was important, but just that's what it looked like. What did they see, Tim?
I was with Ron. I didn't like the effort tonight, and I've been very careful to not throw that out there. But I expected the guys, that didn't play will be a little more fresh, and it was just offensively they were kind of in mud, and part of that is you made the comment a million times, but no Rudy Gobert. What he opens up on the offensive side with his screens and his rolls, and you have to respect the rim. I think everybody kind of understood what he brings, but I don't know. It was totally different. Last night it was a fun game to watch, and this one seemed to me like the Jazz were just stuck in mud.
Yeah, I thought they got very. You're being generous with stuck in mud. How's that?
Well, I'm a night. You've
right,
said this before.
But I mean, like, I don't mean. I'm not trying to lay you out in any way, but like you're saying. Yeah.
I mean, the effort was not good, and I do agree with Ron. It was probably one of the games that stood out to me, and that's not a typical thing with this team.
Well, how about this as an example of what you guys are talking about? Lance Stevenson and Booner were in the same high school class, right? and Lance got into the paint every time he touched the ball.
Yeah, it was really not good.
I mean, 16 assists?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Man, nobody can stay in front of that guy? It's crazy.
Nobody could stay in front of anyone.
Well, it was, and you made the point early, dies on the screen. There was a lot of dying on screens. If somebody dies on a screen, then if you're connected, the guy who's in the stunt position will stunt and try to buy time for you to get back, and there wasn't a lot of that. And then I thought Whiteside, was pedestrian. I think he's a great compliment to Rudy, but it would be tough sledding if he was out there a lot.
Yeah. This one's a little disturbing. Like, this isn't great. Like, I don't want to overplay it like this, anything, but we really have got to find it. So there's one of three scenarios here, right? Like, one is you're just not good enough to beat Kiefer Sykes and Dwayne Washington Jr. Like, okay, we can't really go there. Two is you didn't give it, right? That's not great. Or three is that you're literally so dependent on Rudy Gobert that without Rudy Gobert, we'd be the Orlando Magic.
And that's honestly the narrative around the league, right?
I mean, Marcus Morris said it, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Well, the answer is probably a mix between 2 and 3, right? I mean, honestly,
right,
if we're looking at it.
100%. And so that's why when I say this is a little disturbing, neither of those two answers is good.
No,
right?
that's true.
Right,
Neither
right.
one is good.
Right,
one is more fixable than the other. I'd rather have it be 2 than 3.
Right, yes. Yeah, the fact that it might be 3
that's not
is
good.
a little disconcerting.
Yeah, that's not good.
My question. So what do you do if Whiteside is not Rudy Gobert?
You hope that Robin Lopez doesn't want to play in Orlando and wants a buyout after the trade deadline when he doesn't get moved?
That's one point.
Well, you get Rudy Gobert back as fast as you can. I think that would be, from a coaching perspective, that would be good.
Is this too obvious? How about you stay in front of Lance Stevenson? That can't be impossible, right?
Evidently it was tonight.
You stay in front of Sykes. That can't be impossible, right?
What kind of student was Lance, Ron?
What was his strength?
What do When you played baseball, was he on the baseball team too, or did he just play basketball?
Ice skating. Tell us about his ice skating.
Oh, going back to last night's game. Wow,
Ice
well
skating
done.
with Lance Stevenson.
Sounds like a podcast.
$200, baby. That was good money.
That was a great
But
story.
my point is that it's like we can't play the same defense with Rudy with Hassan Whiteside.
So this goes. So yes, you're right. I don't know what defense you can play with Hassan Whiteside other than deep drop, him standing at the rim and not moving. Like I don't really know what
Thank
else
you
you
very
can play
much.
because I think anytime he moves, you're in trouble, and that's what Portland did with him for an entire year. That actually goes to a really interesting. Remember the Igor Kokoshkov conversation in Oklahoma City, where he told us that
yes.
in a playoff. So this is fascinating, Tim and Jake too. But Tim,
We had lunch.
Tim. So we had lunch with Igor Kokoshkov. I hope he doesn't mind us telling this story. So we had lunch with Igor Kokoshkov after Game 1 of the playoff series with Oklahoma City in Oklahoma City, the year the Jazz win the series. And he says to us, if we break their defense, we'll win the series because you can't change your defense in a playoff series. It takes 5 guys to be connected. You can change your offense. You can do all those things. But if you're trying to play a new defensive system with 5 guys trying to be connected in something they've never done before, you can't do it.
Forget about that.
Then maybe this only change would be that the Clippers, to some extent, did against us, where they just switches. And we even had a conversation this week with Jazz coaches about like, what do you do when you start losing players? And they're like, you'll probably see us switch a lot more because that's the easiest defense to play. Is just tell guys to switch, right? So that might be the exception. But I thought that was an interesting concept. So to some extent, Ron, what you're saying is right. But trying to play a different defense for 8 minutes a night's not worth it. Now all of a sudden, when Rudy Gobert's out, and you have to play. You really should be playing a different defense for 30 minutes. That's really, really hard.
Yeah. So putting a team into a short clock, and how many times did we see that tonight?
Not
often.
Not often, yeah.
often.
But they didn't have to. I mean,
Right.
there was option 1 was usually a good option.
Right.
But I will say this. I mean, I would imagine we're the last team to go through what the Jazz are going through right now, and it happened to hit the guy who, you know, we're talking defense. The whole structure is built around, you know, yes, concerning, but we do plan to have Rudy with us, right? And so I don't think it needs, you know, the guys need to step up their game, but Rudy cleans up for a lot of the things that were tough tonight.
Right. Yep. And we'll have Rudy
We will.
again shortly.
Yes.
Yep.
A few negative tests, a few days, we get Rudy.
So we were out without Rudy. They were without. They
No,
were.
I know. I understand that.
Information that's
But
not necessary.
but you would agree that it's harder to do what Rudy does
Yes.
than coming in with no pressure. I mean, I used to hate it because we would practice all week preparing for a team as assistant coaches. Coach, we've got this. And the day before the game, the scout team would go out there. They had nothing to fear. You know, they just go out and they're going to be this guy tonight. And they shoot the ball like, you know, it's going out of style.
It makes your
And
scout
makes
look
our
pretty
scout
bad,
tougher.
huh?
Yeah, but the minute you take your scout team shirt on and go out there in a regular uniform, they can't make a basket. You know, so there's no pressure. I mean, there's something to that.
Yeah, there is. No, there's, you know, right as we finished the pregame show, and I said to Ron right before tip-off, I said, all right, so what's a bigger deal, missing your 2 best offensive players or your single best defensive player? And I think in a league where everyone can score, missing your defensive player is a bigger deal than missing your offensive players.
Especially when you build everything around them, right?
Roaster Damas was right again. In
You
case
were.
You were wondering.
You
Oh,
were.
did you get your Arby's?
14-1.
Wow. You know, I think the chances are we'll be over it probably every night the way we're defending.
Well, yeah, no, but I've picked 14-1.
Come on, that was funny.
That was funny. But I'm just qualifying. I have picked them to not hit it, and they've not hit it.
Like
So,
last night, for
Yeah.
example.
Yeah. Did you hear my Rudy Gobert Domantas Sabonis note?
yes. But
Oh, how different his game is when Rudy
Last
plays?
2 years, he's 9 of 28.
Well, head-to-head, his average against Rudy is 11.9 points, and his high is 23
He had
when Rudy's out there.
Makes a difference.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
We appreciate you.
125 to 113 is your final Jazz Fall tonight. We're breaking it down next on the Jazz Radio Network. Jazz Game Night Postgame Show on the Jazz Radio Network. Jake Scott, Coach Tim Lacombe. Jazz fall tonight in Indiana to the Pacers, 125-113. Tough loss for the Utah Jazz. Not a whole lot of defense being played in this one, Coach. We were just talking career high tonight for Domantas Sabonis, 42 points, and he did it on 22 shots, which is just amazing. And then Lance Stevenson, a career high, 14 assists in 29 minutes coming off the bench to go with his 16 points. Jazz did get a good offensive performance from Donovan Mitchell with 36, Clarkson with 18, Bogdanovich with 21, but they had no answer for the Pacers defensively.
And it really was Sabonis. I mean, Sabonis got off to a great start. It did a lot of his damage from the three-point line. I thought Indiana did a good job of getting, again, Rick Carlisle, credit to him. Got the Jazz really kind of scrambled defensively, opened up lanes, with a big man that can shoot, and they took advantage of it. And unfortunately, the Jazz just could not keep guys in front of them, and that really was the story of the game.
Yeah, it certainly was. Let's see, as a team, the Pacers tonight shot 55% from the floor. And they were 14 of 29 from three for 48%. There were just so many plays where you just kind of said too easy.
Yep.
Got right to the basket.
Yeah, Lance Stevenson, looked like he was shot out of a cannon. The fact that he hasn't played in the NBA since 2018 is shocking, because he kind of resembled, a point forward a la Draymond Green tonight, making the right plays, being able to beat people off the bounce, and he was definitely a big difference maker for the Pacers.
Yeah, amazing. You wonder, we see all these guys get opportunities, and you think of young guys, but think of obviously a veteran like Lance Stevenson. If he gets into the game and proves that he can still get out there and get it done, why not? I mean, that's the exact position every NBA team is looking for, a rangy wing who can make plays.
What do they call that? Double dipping. You're retired, but some opportunity opens up and you're going to get your retirement and that. I mean, it's pretty awesome.
Well, we were talking about Daniel House for the Jazz. He absolutely has an opportunity to play his way onto the roster full time if he can get it done, because he's the exact type of player that the Jazz absolutely need.
Yeah, and he wasn't, House wasn't as good tonight. Really didn't notice him out there. And so with a bunch of the regulars back, the Jazz, again, the biggest concern, I guess, was just kind of the lack of effort and the ability that the Pacers had time and time again to break the paint.
Yeah, Daniel House in 13 minutes only managed 1 rebound and 3 fouls.
Yeah, not good.
No.
I didn't see the bow and arrow tonight.
No, the bow and arrow did not
come out of its quiver.
No, it did not make an appearance tonight for Daniel House. Jordan Clarkson, you look at his game, you say 18 points and 7 of 15 shooting. Like, okay, Jordan, you take that from him, but somehow managed a minus 30 on the floor.
Yikes. Yeah, and to me, tonight, Jordan, I felt like you can talk about the 0.5, and Coach Wells joked at halftime that there were more like 5.0 seconds per decision. And a lot of that, in my mind, the ball ended up stopping a lot with Jordan Clarkson tonight. It just did.
Jazz fall tonight to the Indiana Pacers, 125-113, as the Jazz, of course, shorthanded without Rudy Gobert and Joe Ingles. But Indiana, like David and Ron were talking about, Indiana was shorthanded too. They started a newly signed guy right off the street and a two-way guy in their backcourt. And, so it's not like they were at full strength either.
Yeah, this is not a time, you really can't play that card that, hey, we were without a guy. Everybody's without a guy. It's just unfortunate right now because Rudy is kind of the cornerstone of this Jazz team. And some would say, on defense, but there's so many things he does offensively when he runs the floor in transition, when he rolls out of screens, and then when he frees guys up with his great screens. I mean, the guys missed that offensive too.
Big time.
Yeah.
You notice that all over the floor tonight. There's no doubt. All right, Jazz lose. Next, we'll say goodnight to our network stations. Next broadcast coming your way Monday night. The Jazz will be in Detroit, the Motor City, to take on the Pistons. That game will tip off at 5 o'clock. For those of you sticking around with us, we've got post-game sound for you. We'll continue to break this one down as well right here on the Jazz Radio Network.
3, 2, 1.
Catch and shoot 3. Pow!
The clock is at 0, and another Utah Jazz game is in the books. This is the Jazz postgame show.
Ingles underhand scoop to Conley. Back out to Joe. Fires the 3.
Presented by Mark Miller Subaru.
Donovan skies and hammers.
Now with the recap of tonight's game. Here's Jake Scott and Tim LaCole.
Jazz Game Night post-game show here on the Jazz Radio Network. It's brought to you by Mark Miller Subaru, featuring the My Subaru Is campaign. Real stories from real Subaru customers. Share your Subaru story for a chance to win prizes. Learn more and share at markmillersubaru.com. Jake Scott, Coach Tim LaCombe with you. Jazz lose tonight to the Pacers, 125-113. We'll get you some post-game sound coming up, but let's see. What should we do first tonight, Coach? Let's do points in the paint. Brought to you by CertaPro Painters. Call 1-800-GO-CERTA. Visit CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. CertaPro Painters, proven and trusted experts in painting. Let's see here. Tonight, points in the paint. The Pacers outscored the Jazz 46-42. I actually thought that disparity would have been higher.
Yeah, I would have too. Jazz, Donovan really got it going, driving and getting pretty deep. But yeah, that number surprises me a little bit. I guess a lot of the 16 assists by Stevenson. Some of those were kick-out threes, obviously.
Yeah, man, he just got into the paint and he made it happen.
Yeah, they made 14 threes. So it wasn't always breaking the paint to get to score. It was more, the Jazz were having to come help and ball gets blended around like we see when the Jazz are going.
Man, you just look at Lance Stevenson's line and you just go, wow, what year is it? 16 points on 7 of 12 shooting.
I've checked my calendar a couple,
14 assists. Wait a minute. Who's president? Tell me right now. Did I time travel?
Who's this Lance Stevenson fellow?
What happened? What's going on in the country? Can you tell me about it? What's the current event?
The crazy part is we've talked about, when that coming of age when athletes have sons, and we went through that list. This Lance Stevenson, you almost think it's been so long that maybe it's his kid.
Is it Lance Jr.?
And you said graduated with Ron Boone. That was the line of the night.
Oh, man. But see, that's the theme of the game, though. I mean, Lance Stevenson went right by whoever was guarding him every time down the floor. And you saw other players do it, too. I mean, I really like Kiefer Sykes. He's got a nice game. But Kiefer had a putback dunk on a rebound. He's 5'10".
And he came flying with a bunch of guys watching. That's what's really difficult. You don't get in that habit of hitting the guys. And a lot of times the Jazz don't have to because Rudy just gets the rebound.
Yep.
And also, how many times have we said it? And we talked about it this week. But like Deion Sanders, a lockdown corner, guys turn the corner, see Rudy Gobert, and at the point of the screen, he cleans up all that stuff. He doesn't give him that one more dribble, that he was getting tonight. And that's just proven fact. I mean, he's a master in ball screen defense, and the Jazz just sorely miss him.
Yeah, they're going to have to figure that out, though, because he's going to miss a few more games.
That's right. And, maybe this is an opportunity for everybody else to shore it up a little better, but tonight, it was evident from the start. The Pacers kind of did what they wanted to do.
Quick, tell me, who's Utah's governor right now? What year is it?
Norm Bangerter.
Hey. We get caught in some sort of time warp. What happened? Let's get some post-game sound. Let's send things back to Indianapolis. It's time to hear from Jazz head coach Quinn Snyder.
Quinn, wanted to ask about kind of the defensive level in this game. Obviously, giving up 125 points. Just what did you see defensively out there?
Well, first, we had a player that in Sabonis that, just had a terrific night. We tried to do a lot of different things against him. Usually he scores on the offensive glass sometimes. In the paint tonight, he was, around the basket. He was so efficient. A lot of times it was in the middle of the floor, and we were trying to come and help, and obviously had difficulty handling him, particularly down low. So when we get those types of situations, it requires us, we're blitzing the post, we're switching pick and roll, and they're rolling us down. There was a lot of different things that happened, and our execution in some of those situations, it shows with their offensive efficiency. It's got to be better. And, we'll look at it and find where we need to be better in terms of help situations, ball pressure. There was a lot of different things throughout the course of a possession that could contribute to that.
Ryan Miller. Daniel and Norvell got a chance to kind of go with the normal guys tonight. What did you think of them kind of going tonight?
Well, we saw Daniel play, last night as well. And, we want him to come in and defend and run and shoot when he's got a clean look from three. Hassan got in foul trouble early. And Norvell got a chance to play and, did some good things for us, blocked a shot, got to the basket. So both those guys, trying to contribute in ways that they can.
There you go. Jazz head coach Quinn Snyder, a little bit shorter on words than he usually is. I thought maybe we'd catch a grumpy Quinn, but it didn't sound that either. Pretty matter of fact.
Well, he knows what he's dealing with, and it sounded like they had a game plan in place that guys, which is understandable, that don't play together a lot. There's some assumptions made sometimes instead of communication, and that's not good, and that's what the result is. So, I know of all the people, what we talked about at the end of Crosstalk. He knows he's got Rudy Gobert. He knows that he fixes a lot of that stuff tonight. But there'll be some things in film that he can address, and blockouts and keeping guys in front and things that other guys can do to try to shore up the defensive effort.
I would guess that players love to play with Rudy Gobert for the reasons that we talk about a lot. He does a lot of things no one else wants to do. He covers up a lot of mistakes. He makes his teammates look better in an unconventional way. I wonder, do you think they have a little more, they tap into some Rudy Gobert appreciation in that locker room? I have no doubt they always appreciate Rudy, but after nights like tonight, they got to be thinking like, man, that big number 27 does a lot.
Well, there's this power ballad in the 80s by a band called Cinderella. And it was called "You Don't Know What You Got Till It's Gone." I'm going to use
bringing
it twice
the whole
tonight.
Show together.
But no, right? I think just inherently, I know Donovan. He's probably going to be the first guy to hug him when he can, because he just cleans up so many things, and he makes things that were really difficult tonight non-factors.
I've always kind of held that opinion that players, like, I never understood why Gordon Hayward would leave playing alongside Rudy Gobert. They don't overlap at all. Rudy does all sorts of stuff that makes every player around him look good. Maybe you don't appreciate that until, maybe you have to go Cinderella on it. You don't know what you got till it's gone. But tonight it made all the difference in the world, right?
No, there's no doubt. And, the challenge will be, like you said, we're going to be a couple of games without Rudy, I would imagine. And so, as that happens, it's tonight's kind of, I guess, square one, and you go from here. But these guys will play together again, and hopefully can get on the same page a little better the next time around.
Postgame is brought to you by Mark Miller Subaru and the My Subaru Is campaign, featuring real stories from real Mark Miller Subaru customers. Subaru owners are diverse, and each has a unique story to share. Read some and share your own. MySubaruIs.com. Your final tonight, Jazz fall to the Pacers. 125-113. We'll get you some player sound next on the Jazz Radio Network. Jazz Game Night postgame show on the Jazz Radio Network. 125-113 is your final. Pacers beat the Jazz. Let's go back to Indianapolis. Here's Hassan Whiteside.
I don't know. I know guys came back. A couple guys missed games last game, and we didn't really get to have a shoot around or anything because it was back to back. So we just came in and they got the better of us.
Andy Larson.
How did the concussion happen, and kind of like what has the last week or so been for you like as you've kind of dealt with those symptoms?
I just had a headache every day. It feels like you hungover. It feels like light sensitivity. It's not good. It's not a good feeling.
Do you feel like that's still affecting you at all?
Yeah, I still got still a little bit of headache. I got a little bit, but it's okay. I've just been playing. I'm fine. I'm just trying to get back in the field of things.
Eric Walden.
Hassan, obviously, Sabonis had a huge night. Where was he having success? Where do you feel like you guys maybe could have done things a little differently against him?
He was scoring a lot of points when we went smaller. we scored a lot of points when it was like under the rim. He just got like a lot of like easy duckings, I think, and off the rolls.
Sarah Todd, last question.
Hassan, do you think that that the kind of the effects of the concussion and you still feeling it a little bit is affecting your play at all?
No, I don't want to use no excuse. You know, I'm just coming out. You know, I'm just trying to get back to things. You know, it was we ain't practice. It was a back-to-back, so I'm not really concerned. We're gonna move on to Detroit, and then I think we go back home, so we'll be okay.
All right.
All right, there you go. That's Hassan Whiteside. It is your Jazz Game Night postgame show brought to you by Mark Miller Subaru. Featuring the My Subaru is campaign, real stories from real Mark Miller Subaru customers. Share your Subaru story for a chance to win prizes. Learn more and share. MarkMillerSubaru.com. Jake Scott, Coach Tim Lacombe, as I mentioned, the Jazz fall tonight, 125-113. You just heard from Hassan Whiteside. Let's get to the master of the glass. Brought to you by Safe Light Auto Glass, the local vehicle glass expert, here for another great year of basketball and proud to be the preferred auto glass partner of the Utah Jazz. Safe Light Auto Glass is also proud to present this year's Master of the Glass Rebound Program. At the end of the regular season, Safe Light will donate $5 for each rebound secured by this year's team rebound leader. And speaking of Hassan, he was your Master of the Glass tonight with 8 rebounds. The Jazz tonight had 39 total rebounds to Indiana's 38, although Indiana didn't miss a ton of shots.
No, there weren't a whole lot of offensive rebounds to go around. And I think more than what's being said, the content, I think the brevity. So it speaks a lot right here. Right?
Yes, it does.
It's not so much what's being said, it's that nobody really wants to say much. And so that, we're that's a fifth game road trip. It's the dog days of the season, so I get it.
And a tough loss.
Yeah.
Reminiscent of, I'll remember this postgame all year long when they lost to the Pelicans and Quinn and Donovan and Rudy all came out spitting truth. But remember when Bogdanovich came out? Jeff, what was the total length on that Bogdanovich postgame? Do you remember? It was like 50 seconds or something?
Yeah, it was quicker or not as short as Rudy Gay's was the other week, though. That was like 30 seconds long.
Well, that one was because they were trying to get out of town on the plane, right? They had
fair.
like a game the next night. But I remember that Bogdanovich postgame because it was just brief. It was like, man, I don't want to talk about it. And it was kind of interesting because you compare it to Donovan and Rudy and Coach Snyder, who were calling everybody out, including themselves. And Bogdanovich is like, yeah, let's go. That's kind of what the feeling we got from Hassan there a little bit too. And probably because Hassan didn't play very well tonight. I mean, this was a big opportunity for him to step in. No Rudy Gobert, who was obviously going to get more minutes. And he had 8 points on 3 of 6 shooting, 2 of 3 from the line, 8 boards, as we mentioned. And that's it. No assists, no steals, no blocks. And just wasn't, his guy scored 42. Well, not solely his guy. That's probably not fair. But Sabonis had a day, right?
Oh yeah, he had a great day, and that's on Hassan, but it's also on the rotations, right? On some of that pick and pop stuff. But I would imagine that a lot of people miss Rudy in that room, but I think what Hassan's been able to establish, he's a really good complement to Rudy Gobert, but he's not going to be able to hold down the fort like Rudy does, from gun to gun.
Right. There's just not another Rudy Gobert on the planet. And I give Hassan Whiteside a ton of credit because he's been really good this year. But tonight, and it was not one of his better nights. And he played more minutes and just didn't have the impact I think a lot of us, well, at least I'll speak for myself, I thought he could have on the game tonight.
The one thing, too, I saw a lot on Twitter is, no Doak tonight. The Pell played, and I would just definitely, I would imagine that is Doak playing way more minutes in a week than he's played in a couple of years, honestly. At that level, and I would imagine tonight, more out of precaution than anything, he is still nursing back to good health.
Oh, there were some folks on Twitter reading into that. Right. I don't think you can read into that.
No, I don't think you can
at all. No. I mean, we saw how tired he was in the Denver game, and then to play more minutes in the game last night and coming back off that severe ankle injury where he probably had to spend a significant amount of his recovery time right on his backside because it's tough to, run around when your ankle's messed up. And to get in and We saw the condition of the team last night in Toronto in the fourth quarter. I'm sure they played Pell tonight just because he could actually get up and down the floor.
Last night.
Yeah,
no doubt.
And it's not Doak's fault, but there were folks reading into that on Twitter. I would not. I don't think that that's anything really.
Yeah, I would say what you read into it is what we said. It's he played more than he's played, and out of precaution, give Pell those minutes.
He probably needs practice time for a number of different reasons, as much, if not more, than anybody else on the team. I mean, he needs time on the floor to
understanding plays, spacing,
everything.
concepts, defensive positioning, all that.
The whole thing. Yep. All right, let's go back to Indianapolis. It's now time to hear from Donovan Mitchell.
Hey, Don. After missing and watching kind of the young guys be able to step it up, and especially what they were able to do in the first half, I guess, against Toronto. First, what did you think about that? And then coming into tonight, did you feel like you guys had your legs under you? I think you and Mike and some of the other guys that took a night off.
No, I'll answer the second part first. I felt like we were okay. We competed. There's certain things that we could have done better. I don't think we were tired more than normal, I would say. They just, we haven't seen pressure like that for a consistent 48 minutes in a while, so that plays into that. But I wouldn't say because of the time off, we were we didn't have our legs per se, at the end of the day. If anything, we would have more legs, to be honest with you. So I wouldn't say that. And then as far as last night, man, I wanted to tweet 8 tweets about it, but those guys played their ass off. I'm extremely proud of them. All of them. That's a tough situation to go from not playing to playing 36, 37 against a team like Toronto. Eric, coming in doing what he does. I kind of had a feeling he was going to do that just because he's had that role before in Golden State. Eli looked really good, comfortable. And there were some mistakes, it's natural, when you play against a team that's as quick and agile and as long as they are, Trent and JB, fumbled it a little bit, but, they learn from those mistakes. They'll learn a moment. It's not a big deal, but to go out there and compete, to go out there and continue to, to fight and battle, those guys play really well, everybody, top to bottom. And, I think we're all proud of the development that we've seen, from everybody. And that'll come to help us, in the later months. But I was excited. I think we all were. We all watched it together. And I think it was great to see, that out of the group.
Tony Johns.
Donovan, what would you say went wrong for you guys tonight?
Honestly, man, we did it to ourselves. I feel like that's a winnable game for us. We shot ourselves in the foot with a few different things. We get a turnover right back, missed assignments. A lot of it, we knew where we needed to be, and we just weren't there every possession. And we got to do it. This month is not easy for us. The schedule is going to not be easy for us. So it's like, we got to go out there and do it every night. Teams are coming at us, especially with what happened last game with how they were physical and kind of all that other nonsense. For us, we got to be locked in from the jump. And, we were, and then they go on a run. We come back, we competed. Don't get me wrong. But, we got to think the game too. Down the stretch, we got to think about where we need to be, our game plans, why we're fouling. I got lazy, didn't get over a screen. I got lazy, didn't miss the block out. Kiefer Sykes comes in and gets a layup. So this is a point, if we want to be a championship team, we got to do it every night. And we didn't do it tonight. And this is let's go. And that's on all of us, 1 through 15. And I know we're missing Joe and Rudy, so it's you can easily put it on that. But this is a winnable game for us. This is something that we can go out there and win this game. And the fact that we didn't hurts and it's going to eat at us, but, hopefully that fuels us for Detroit and the rest of this month because it's going to be tough. But this is a game where if we pay a little more attention to the little things, do everything a little bit better pace, execution wise, we win this game.
Eric Walden.
Don, along those lines, it seemed like you guys, aside from a few turnovers, generally had a pretty good offense tonight, but the defensive engagement was kind of not where it needed to be. Where are the areas on the defensive side where you guys can be more consistent or be more effective?
Oh, obviously when you don't have Rudy out there, we did it against Jokic in Denver. We shifted, we were there in the paint, at the end, Jokic had 20 and 20, but we still were shifted in, making guys, and they shoot better than Denver does. They have more shooters, but, the thing is, we were able to execute. We were able to think. We were able to go out there and say, okay, we're missing both our centers. Both our big dogs. We were able to lock in, scramble, execute, and we didn't really do that to the highest level. Whether it was on the ball, our scrambles, getting out of contest, closing out, boxing out. We just didn't do it every possession. There were times where when we needed it, we kicked in and we got the lead back. But for us to be where we want to be, we have to do it every possession. And I can't say we did that tonight, and I think that's going to eat at us because this is a game, like I said, this is a game we felt like we could win, and you got to give hats off to where you got to give them credit where credit's due. They got a lot of dogs over there, guys who compete and fighting. Sabonis had a hell of a night. So we just got to go out there and continue to execute and think, the game as far as the defense goes. Offensively, we did a lot of things right. I think we missed some easy ones. We missed some shots that we normally make. But, defensively, especially when, you got Rudy out and then also Joe on the perimeter, like we got to be able to, lock in.
Last question, Ryan Miller.
Yeah, Don, could you just take us through how strange this week has been for you, just with the whole COVID thing, not going to Canada? How different of a road trip has this been?
I wouldn't say it's too different. I think, because I didn't go on the road trip to where did we just go? San Antonio and Portland. I think it gives you time to kind of sit back and watch the game in a different aspect. It's different. But for me personally, I should say, it allows you to kind of get your lift in, get your legs right, and kind of recover and make sure your body's 100% for a game like tonight where it's going to be a physical 48. It's been weird though, because we, expecting to go in and guys get COVID, Rudy and Joe get COVID, and it's like, just you got to be able to adapt, and I think that's the biggest thing, is we, especially going into Denver, with that happening, everything just happened kind of quickly. But, we just got to be able to adapt and be ready and, get ready for Detroit.
All right, Donovan Mitchell, right there. Donovan, man, his post-game press conferences are always good. Very introspective as well. As Donovan had 36 points, 9 assists tonight. He was 13 of 27, 6 of 12 from 3, but, had some issues that he could have tightened up too. Talked about that box out, for example.
If your best player holds himself accountable, and is willing to talk through that stuff, you got a chance. And Donovan's right. They need to play with a better effort if they want to do what they want to do. Championships gets thrown around a lot. And Rudy Gobert's obviously going to be an enormous part of that. But there is an opportunity for a bunch of guys to grow in different ways. And, that's going to be part of this process. Tonight's just, like I said, the first step in that. But hopefully, they come out with a little better focus and determination to adapt when they play the Pistons on Monday.
And I liked what he said right there, and he was very careful not to disrespect Indiana. It's the NBA, everybody's good. You don't want to disrespect your opponent, but he said he felt like, before this was a winnable game for them. And I absolutely agree with that. And the reason I liked him bringing it up, coming back to accountability, is because by simply saying that, you imply that you felt short. You fell short. It's not the cliche, well, they were the better team tonight. He's again, walking that tightrope because he doesn't want to insult the Pacers, but at the same time, this was a winnable game for them, even without Rudy.
Well,
I thought.
Yeah, because Brogdon's not out there, and they started Sykes in Washington, for heaven's sakes, and brought Lance Stevenson off the bench from a time machine. He arrived in a DeLorean. He walked down with a hoverboard down the ramp, and that's how he got into the game. I'm just playing on the Back to the Future concept.
I liked it. Yeah,
thank you.
It was good. Very, very good.
You looked up at me like, what do you? Yeah, okay.
No,
gotcha.
I got it. I'm there. All right. Post game is brought to you by Mark Miller Subaru, and the My Subaru is campaign featuring real stories from real Mark Miller Subaru customers. Subaru owners are diverse, and each has a unique story to share. Read some, share your own. MySubaruIs.com. Your final. Jazz fall to the Pacers tonight, 125-113. We'll have more player sound for you coming up next, right here on the Jazz Radio Network. Jazz Game Night postgame show on the Jazz Radio Network. Jake Scott, Coach Tim Lacombe. Postgame brought to you by Mark Miller Subaru, featuring the My Subaru Is campaign. Real stories from real Mark Miller Subaru customers. Share your Subaru story for a chance to win prizes. Learn more and share at markmillersubaru.com. Your final tonight, Jazz fall to the Pacers, 125-113. Let's check out your Chick-fil-A foul shot review of the game. Download a whole new way to Chick-fil-A. Earn rewards with the Chick-fil-A One app. Tonight from the line, Jazz were 18 of 19, 95% from the line. They fouled a lot, though. The Pacers were 23 of 32. They only shot 72% from the free throw line, Coach, but got there a lot.
Yeah, got there a lot. They played on attack, forcing the issue, driving. That's going to give you those opportunities. And then it seemed like Sabonis had 7 or 8 and ones.
Man, he was good tonight. If you're just joining us, Domantas Sabonis with 42 points on 18 of 22 shooting. I mean, that is the model of efficiency right there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he got started early. That's always bad for a scorer. They see the first couple go in, particularly a big guy spacing like he did tonight. Just a great game for him. He's an all-star. That's what all-stars do.
Yeah, I mean, a great player, that's for sure. But I think as far as the Pacers go, the story of the game, of course, is Lance Stevenson. Well, he can share that honor, I suppose, with Domantas Sabonis. But Lance Stevenson turning back the clock, 16 points, a career-high 14 assists. He played 29 minutes, 7 of 12 shooting, 1 of 3 from 3, but was a playmaker, man. Jazz had no answer, couldn't stay in front of him.
And he was playing, like he was on house money. He was letting it fly, and he was playing. He smiled a lot too. Imagine you get an opportunity, you leave something, you go back, and you really do soak up the really cool stuff in it. And that's what he looked like he did tonight.
Yeah, I love it. Someone who doesn't have anything to lose, getting out there. He mixed it up with Royce O'Neal all game long. Still has that Lance Stevenson chip on his shoulder, but looks like he's having fun out there for sure.
And honestly, the most impressive thing is the shape he was in.
Yep.
There's NBA guys that are running up and down the floor every night that don't look as good as he does.
Yeah, good on him.
Yeah, good for him.
Sometimes
I certainly don't have that discipline.
No, sometimes holding on to the dream is worth it, or pays off, I suppose, right?
Oh, yep. That's why you shoot for the stars, my friend.
And as wacky as Lance Stevenson has been throughout his career, he must have done something to endear himself to the Pacers because they get a chance to bring him back, and bring him back pays off.
Yep. Always, imagine he kept relationships good, and they had an opportunity, and he's taken taken full advantage of that.
All right, let's go back to Indianapolis. Let's keep the player sound rolling. It's time to hear from Bojan Bogdanovic.
Hey, Bojan. It seemed like you guys mostly had a pretty good offensive night, other than a few turnovers here and there, but the defensive effort was maybe not as consistent as you guys would have liked. Where do you feel like there was perhaps room to improve in that area?
I mean, we gotta be more aggressive defensively. This is not who we are. Like a lot of easy buckets, especially for Sabonis early on. But like I said, our effort gotta be better all across the board. And bad loss for us. I mean, last couple of games our defense was solid, and once again we kind of let them to drop 130 points or whatever they had tonight.
Sarah Todd?
Bojan, what does it feel like when a guy has a career night against you?
I mean, he had a great game. Like I said, he got in a game with a couple easy buckets, and then Lance was doing pretty good job on pick and roll, finding him. So I mean, it's always bad. You don't want to be on that side, but great game from his side.
Eric Walden.
Well, you mentioned that the effort was not where it needed to be tonight. Don made similar comments that consistency of effort and concentration keeps kind of popping up with this team. How do you feel like that's a thing that you guys can fix and get better at?
It's got to be more aggressive on the ball. Be more aggressive on the help side as well. Like I mentioned, like we had a couple games that we were defending pretty well, but I don't know what's going on. That once in a while we allowed the teams to score a bunch of easy buckets on us, but it's all on us. Like I said, across the board, we got to all take more responsibility and be better defensively.
Last question, Andy Larson.
Oh, yeah, and I just want to ask about a specific play, the one at the very end of the first half, where Dwayne Washington got that open three as kind of the clock went down. It seemed like a miscommunication, but kind of what happened on that play? I was just trying to figure it out.
I mean, yeah, it's all about concentration and a focus. Probably we didn't switch, and he got he was wide open. But like I said, we gotta be better. Those kind of errors cannot be part of our game if we wanna be and create something special this season.
Wow, that's as pointed as we've heard Bogdanovich all year long, and I'm sure going up against his old team took this one a little bit personally, but said it multiple times. Bad loss. We don't hear players even with bad losses don't usually come out and say bad loss. Bojan, right at the point right there, and then calling out the effort as well.
Accountability, I'm telling you, it's a huge trait to being good, and we hear it a lot with this team. We've got to start seeing a little bit of gradual improvement from some of these guys on the defensive end, and I think Bojan's one of them. He holds himself to a high standard, and tonight wasn't good enough. I mean, he's 100% dead honest. Right down to Sarah Todd asking him, what's it like to give up a career night to somebody? That's going to be a tough question to answer. And Sabonis, career night for him, 42. 18 of 22 shooting, amazing. And he kind of gave a little bit of a generic answer to that particular one. But it'd be like sitting down and, what's it like going through life with that face? But he was pretty honest about what was wrong tonight for the Jazz. And I think he and Donovan both really have diagnosed it quite well. I made a rookie mistake. David was leaving. He had a thing of jelly beans. And I asked him for a couple, and, oh, no, not a couple. So he's dropped about 700 right here, and I apologize. I'm chewing them. You're just chowing away. You need me to go on a soliloquy or something? No, it's fine. I just am making sure people know why. And I thought David, if he's listening, will chuckle on his way up the canyon. He just tempted you, He just, here, these are going to be here. Rookie mistake. Staring you right in the face. It's something you get used to. Eating in a commercial break. That's what you got to do. You can put down, I used to know a guy like David James can put down a whole meal in a commercial break. So you can clean up those jelly beans. The funny thing is I listen enough that I know when you guys have just eaten too, because there's a sound to that food kind of. I'm telling you, I've never seen anybody eat like David James. That guy is something else. He should be in some sort of contest. He can just go to town. Wouldn't that be funny to see him up on the stage with Chestnut? Just going. Cramming the dogs. So, Jazz lose tonight, 125-113. That was Bojan Bogdanovich. Tonight he finished with 21 points, 7 of 16 shooting, 3 of 9 from 3, 6 boards, had an assist. And, certainly a fine offensive performance from Bogdanovich. But offense, once again, it's an Arby's night. You're 13-1. The Jazz offense was fine. No, that's not right. I'm 14-1. Sorry, 14-1. Rostradamus strikes again. Rostradamus. So the Jazz were fine offensively. It was defense. Tonight the issue was entirely on that side of the ball. And, you can blame a lot of that on the absence of Rudy Gobert, but I think you're hearing it from these post-game comments that they know they can't use that as an excuse. Got to be better. Rudy helps everybody look good, but, you got to dial up that effort. And like I said, I think, a lot of times difficult things bring growth. And, without Rudy Gobert, this team's it's built around him, offensively, defensively, as evident as that looks. I mean, the Jazz get better shots. They function better on offense, and then defensively, it's, not even the same stratosphere. Yeah. Post game is brought to you by Mark Miller Subaru and the My Subaru Is campaign. Real stories from real Mark Miller Subaru customers. Subaru owners are diverse and each has a unique story to share. Read some and share your own. MySubaruIs.com. Jazz fall tonight to the Pacers, 125-113. Coming up next, we'll get Coach Lacombe's final thoughts on this one before we turn the page to the Detroit Pistons. That's coming up next on the Jazz Radio Network.
Royce O'Neal, he rises up and rings the doorbell with a right hand hammer dunk.
That is your play of the game. Of course, our guy David Locke, and it's brought to you by Larry H. Miller Dealerships for service, sales, and selection. LHMauto.com, driven by you. Of course, a nice dunk from Royce O'Neal. Good call from David. Although last night's half-court shot from Fitz would be tough to beat. That was an epic call. That was an epic call. That was an epic shot. You don't see those half-quarters. It reminded me of the Dell of a dagger, unfortunately. Oh, yeah. Speaking of that, you've got BYU St. Mary's going on. Now. I realize we're doing a radio show, too, so I'm trying to stay focused. Come on. Just like the Jazz, right? You got to stay focused. 125-113 is your final. Jazz fall tonight on the road to the Indiana Pacers. Just a quick recap if you're just joining us. For the Jazz, they were led by Donovan Mitchell's 36 points, 13 of 27 shooting, 6 of 12 from 3. Donovan had 9 assists, go along with a couple of rebounds. Quick note on Donovan, I heard Locke talking about how time frame, I think Locke was saying the past couple of weeks, I apologize, but he was talking about Donovan averaging 6 assists, which is a great number for him. You got to love to see that. 9 assists from him is, of course, playmaking is going to be a big responsibility.
Yeah, and he's so good in it right now. His decision-making and the way he sees the floor, all of his options. I mean, he made an unbelievable pass again, that wraparound pass tonight to Royce O'Neal. And Royce, he left 3 or 4 shots on the table.
He did.
He seemed a little resistant to shoot tonight, and he's got to shoot those. I mean, it's like a turnover if you don't.
And he was 3 for 3 tonight, too, so it's not like he was struggling.
That's right.
Let's see. The Jazz got 21 from Bogdanovich on 7 of 16, shooting 3 of 9 from 3. Bogey also grabbed 6 boards. Clarkson had 18 coming in off the bench. Mike Conley tonight returned to the lineup, 9 points, 7 assists. He also had 5 rebounds and 2 steals. Hassan Whiteside got the start for Rudy Gobert. He had 8 points and 8 rebounds. But the Pacers shoot 55% from the field, 48% from 3. They get 42 from Domantas Sabonis, who was just amazing. Lance Stevenson had 16 and 14 assists. Yes, that Lance Stevenson coming in off the bench in 29 minutes. The Pacers also got 16 from Dwayne Washington Jr. and 15 from Justin Holiday. So really good all-around offensive performance from the Pacers.
You know, in 2018, the gas was $2.79 a gallon. The last time that Lance Stevenson played in an NBA game.
Boy, that would be nice.
Be nice, but it tells you how long it's been, and it's crazy. But you take everything into account. I mean, a huge reason why Sabonis has his night tonight is because Lance Stevenson was setting guys up, and he was the difference maker in the game. Make no mistake about it.
That's a great point. He was.
I mean, Sabonis obviously was terrific, but Stevenson just kind of freed that team up when he came in off the bench. Really, to me, changed the game.
Absolutely changed the game, and the Jazz had a tough time stopping him. They had a tough time staying in front of anybody, really. But Lance certainly made a big-time difference. And we mentioned Dwayne Washington. He's a two-way guy. I mean, it seems like the last, what do you want to call it, month, or at least couple of weeks, Coach, has been who's going to step up and capitalize on the opportunity that they're given. And we see these different players each and every night. And the Lance Stevenson one is actually a really cool story. Good for him.
It was fun to watch. You know, the wrong side of it. It'd be funner to watch if it was, somebody doing it for the Jazz. But yeah, that's what the context of the season is going to be about for the next, foreseeable future, really, as COVID continues to kind of run through the league and through coaches and staff members and everything. So every night you got to show up, you got to play hard, you got to be ready to go. And tonight, that's where the Jazz kind of fell short.
And I'm saying this only half kidding. We're happy that the team made it out of Toronto.
Oh, for sure. 100%. And everybody's tests were good. And I thought the Jazz played that thing like a fiddle. I thought they played it great.
They did what they had to do.
You have to.
It was the absolute smart
Protect
way to
your
go.
interest.
Yeah, absolutely. And the NBA, if this situation societally goes on for an extended period of time, I do think they're going to have to look at Toronto and decide whether they're going to move them south of the border because, teams are going to pick up on that. Toronto's not going to face even close to a full squad for how long because teams are just going to leave their players behind.
Man, Toronto sure made hay at home.
Boy, just terrific home record. My goodness.
And their numbers at home
are just amazing.
Night and day.
We want to remind you about the Utah Jazz Most Valuable Educators program presented by Instructure, the makers of Canvas. Throughout the season, the Utah Jazz and Instructure will recognize 21 MVEs. Each one will receive a visit from Jazz Bear, a $1,000 grant, a personalized jersey, and tickets to see a Jazz game in a suite. Go to nba.com/jazz/MVE to nominate your favorite educator right now. Coach Lacombe, let's get your final thoughts on this one before we turn the page. And I know Jazz fans are eager to turn the page, but what are you taking away from this one?
Well, we turn the page to Monday, right? That's when we play again. And I think that the Jazz learned some lessons tonight. Donovan summed it up best. If they want to do, take a step further than what they took last year and challenge for a championship, the effort's got to be better nightly. It has to be a consistent thing. And that's what they're finding right now. And, there's no excuse with guys out. But I do believe the little note that I make to myself is Rudy Gobert is very, very, very important to this team. And, I know that narrative sometimes is poo-pooed, but I think nothing to me stands out more than what he brings to the team after not having him for a couple nights.
Here's my prediction, and I can't be, of course, the great Rostradamus, but I would guess the Jazz are going to give the Pistons all they can handle. Based on what we've heard tonight in the post game, they've got a day off to travel, and I would guess we're going to see a pretty motivated squad against the Pistons. That doesn't mean that all of a sudden we're going to see the best defensive team in the league because Rudy's still not going to be in the lineup. But I guess it sounded, listening to Donovan Mitchell's post game tonight, sounded to me like he's going to have a little extra motivation come Monday, get the taste, out for this one.
Yeah, there's no doubt that one will be really important. I love they got a day off in between, and they can, kind of get everything ready. The key to it, will they come out focused? Like Donovan said, will they be locked in? Will they be communicating? Will they play on a string defensively? That all starts with a guy guarding the ball, and then everybody else can do their job behind it.
All right, we want to say a big thanks to everybody who helped with the broadcast tonight. Once again, and I don't normally thank Jeremy, our engineer here on site, but David Locke and Ron Boone, we're up here in studio again, and that means our guy Jeremy has to jump through a few extra hoops to get things set up and running smoothly. So shout out to Jeremy Potter. Thanks to David Locke and Ron Boone, of course, themselves doing a great job. Thanks to our broadcast assistants who helped with us tonight. Thanks to Jeff Carroll, executive producer of Jazz Game Night. Thanks to the title sponsor of the post-game show. That's our friends at Mark Miller Subaru, featuring the My Subaru Is campaign. Real stories from real Mark Miller Subaru customers. Share your Subaru story for a chance to win prizes. Learn more and share at markmillersubaru.com. And, of course, Coach Lacombe, thanks to you, buddy. Enjoy your Sunday. The Hammer and Hank grandson coming over.
Yep, got a big Sunday planned. Watch a lot of sports, tweet about it all day, and hang with Hank.
I just need to know what you're thinking about.
I will. I
it.
will keep you posted.
You need to get it out there, out into the Twitter sphere. Make sure you catch the PGA golf. It's on a little later.
Yeah, that's right. It's Kapalua, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, indeed. 125 to 113 is your final. The Jazz fall tonight on the road to the Indiana Pacers. Next broadcast is coming your way on Monday night. The Jazz are in the Motor City. Take on the Pistons. That game will tip off at 5 o'clock. Pre-game coverage will begin at 4. And, of course, you'll hear it all right here on the Jazz Radio Network.